Hello, my name is Samuel Warwick. I have autism. The entertainment industry has been a huge part of my childhood. So by being inspired to see other entertainment podcasters interviewing other people from television shows, I decided to do one myself. To know about some funny behind the scenes, bloopers, and some stuff that we probably didn't know about while they were making the certain type of show. This is Entertainment Treasure Talk with Samuel Warwick. Let's go to the podcast now.
All right, well, hello there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk with Samuel Warwick. I am your host, as always, Samuel Warwick, and I am always happy that you're here, exploring the type of nostalgia and stuff like that, and just throughout childhood and just, all the way up towards now. And I just appreciate it. And I want to also appreciate you guys, supporting a lot of the episodes. So that's something that I really, But anyway, I have at least 3 co-hosts with me today. I have Wyatt McCullough.
Hello, everybody. What's going on, you guys?
Purple Muppet.
Hello, everybody.
And Jordan Robinson.
Salutations.
You may know me in Purple from my podcast.
May I just ask this all together? How are the 3 of you guys doing?
Really good.
Oh,
Yeah.
wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah. So before we get into our guests, we do have a couple of announcements to make. First of all, Wyatt did start a side podcast here of his own. It's called the Roarsome Talk.
Yep. Purple's a co-host.
Yep. And if you guys want to check that out, go check that out as well. And also, number 2, we are also going to be partnering with another podcast channel. Her name is Chris. She also has a podcast as well called the Nostalgia Channel. So if you would like to, go follow her as well. And but all right. So everybody, can I have the question as always?
What do we have today?
All right. Well, Wyatt, I'm very glad you asked. Today, we have a music composer who has composed for Maya and Miguel, Tom and Jerry, and many other Warner Brother television shows, I guess. I don't know, but we have his resume up. Probably have his resume somewhere. And
It's somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere. But, he's also done Tom and Jerry and many, many more, which we'll probably get into. But anyway, our guest here today is David Ricard, if that's right.
Ricard.
All right, Ricard. Well, there we go. At least I was close. I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, how are you, sir?
I'm excellent. Thanks for having me in.
No problem. No problem. Just so you know, PBS has meant a lot to me, including PBS Kids Go, has just meant so much to me, and just watching, Maya and Miguel, and knowing quite a bit of the episodes as well, but we'll get into Maya and Miguel.
Same with Hanna-Barbera for me. Tom and Jerry's amazing.
Yes. But anyway, I just like to ask our guests to start with their origin story. May I ask you, how did you get started into music?
Well, music, I think probably like a lot of people, when I was a teenager, I wanted to play guitar and learned guitar and bass and played in bands with my friends, and then started to really get into it. And then when I went to college, I was really into it, and then decided I wanted to try to pursue it as a career. And I was still playing in bands and making a little bit of money doing that, but I realized that was just not something that I could. It was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to be a rock star, so what else is there? And I was able to do a few commercials, and then that sort of started the whole scoring to picture thing. And actually, to jump ahead to Maya and Miguel, that was actually the first. I had done another actually sort of funny TV thing, but I wouldn't really call it scoring. And what it was is, do you want me to tell you this, or is this, we're not at that point yet?
No, I mean,
Go ahead.
I mean, I guess you could go ahead. I mean, that was technically, how did you start in the entertainment industry? You know,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
all that.
Well,
How
there,
did you
yeah,
start composing for the industry?
right. Well, so doing it was through commercials that got me able to work fast and
Oh,
write
wow.
lots of things and score it to picture. And then I did get this Maya and Miguel job, and I had this other job that I was going to tell you about, uh, and then from there, I really focused on doing more cartoon stuff because I sort of had a little bit of
Yeah.
a talent
Yeah.
for it. You know, it was something I actually really enjoyed. I really thought I was contributing to
Yeah.
the projects and making them better. So that's sort of been my focus ever since.
Yeah, yeah, but would you like to talk about that other project? You certainly may.
Well, I completely forgot about it, but now I remember that before I did mine, Miguel, I had this job where I don't know if you remember these shows like The Real World and Road Rules on MTV.
Not
Uh,
really.
They were like reality shows,
Mhm.
and
mm,
part of the deal with MTV is when you would give them a video, they were allowed to use it in all their programming.
oh boy,
But when the
interesting.
shows became syndicated, they didn't have the rights to use these tracks, so they needed
Oh, wow.
somebody to rescore all these episodes, and there was like 10 seasons of them, and just go through it and listen to what and you'd be listening to like like these top 40 hits, and you'd have to like recreate 10 seconds of them and make it fit what was already happening, and that also really helped me work fast because there was the turnaround time was crazy, and so that was an interesting gig. But then when I did get the job, the Maya and Miguel job, that was like my first like true scoring to picture job.
That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Amazing
It's awesome.
story.
Yeah, that's awesome to know. That's really awesome to know that there was something interesting that led you to doing something way better. That's probably memorable.
Yeah, and I remember when they were considering me for Maya and Miguel, they asked if I did any series stuff, and I said, yeah, I did this Road Rules and Real World, and I think they just assumed I meant I scored them and not that I rescored them from what was already there. But I don't know, it might have helped because I really didn't have any experience. So
Well, it's
That's
great
awesome.
that you got to do your own take on something on a show that you got to compose, your own music for. Man, I gotta say, I'm trying to think. Didn't you sing the theme song too? I think you did, didn't you, or no?
I didn't. They
Oh, wait a
hired a
minute,
singer.
no, you didn't. There was another singer. I forgot who he was.
I have another question about that later. I have a question about that later.
Oh,
my friend.
there was. I don't know if you read I wrote an article on cartoon scoring for Sound on Sound magazine, and I was talking about a different show that I did actually immediately after that. And yeah, and in that one, the demo for the theme song, I sang it, and I just thought, okay, well, they're obviously going to replace this with someone who can sing. And like they were like, no, this is fine. So it is me singing on that, but that show's very hard to find.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. Well, you were singing on the demo.
I sang on the demo, for a singer to get approval, and then once they got approval, I figured they would hire a singer, but they thought my singing was good enough.
Yeah. It is. I mean, it's the theme song, so yeah, I really get a tune out of that theme song.
It is.
It is a classic
Love it,
theme.
love it.
Yeah, so an interesting thing about the Maya and Miguel theme song is that, so when I wrote it, I hadn't scored any of the shows yet, so I was just kind of going by briefs of the characters. And so there was this line, and it was so if you know the show, Maya's like very whimsical, and
Yes.
and Miguel's very practical. That's how the characters are written. And so I said there was a line, and he leads with his head, and she follows her heart.
Oh yes, I know that line.
And then after one season, I don't know if they got complaints or if somebody said something, but they're like, it just sounds sexist, like, oh, the girl's, off in the clouds, and it's the boy is very sensible.
Oh.
And And so they changed that line, and I didn't care that they changed it, but they had to get that singer back and redo it. And I just thought, it's describing the characters. It has nothing to do with their, gender or anything sexist like that. It's like, that's actually how they were. But what was funny is I saw they put out like coloring books and stuff, and they used that line in everything. It was sort of like the way to describe the two of them. And then as soon as they got any kind of blowback, they like scrubbed it and just said, we don't. I don't know who they were worried about offending, but they changed it. So the line they changed it to is like it's like they each do their part. They make a great team, and they each do their part, something like that.
Oh, yes. You know what? I did notice that. Yeah, I think
that makes sense.
Yeah, the very earlier episodes you could hear
on my website. I have the theme with the original lyrics.
Nice. I still love that theme, though. You really did a great job on it.
It's so iconic, and so many amazing people worked on it, like Joe Cocker and others.
Yeah, that's really incredible that you were able
to.
That is. Yeah. May I ask? And I think somebody may have already asked this question in the comments, but I'm not getting the fan questions just yet. But this is just me. What was some of your favorite episodes you've composed for?
Of Maya and Miguel?
Yeah, good question. That's something I want to know too.
I should have.
Or do you have a specific favorite episode you composed for?
There was one episode where, actually, I think the first episode we spent so much time on the first episode that I did, which was the one where the grandmother and the mailman were having a little, flirtation. And
my gosh, I think I know what one you're talking about.
Yeah, for some reason that's like the first one we worked on, and I mean I felt like we worked on it for months, just trying to set the tone for the show. And I tried so many different things, and that was interesting. And then there was one where they each were like superheroes, and it was the first time I got to do like sort of superhero type scoring and themes.
Superheroes. I think I watched the superhero one. Is it like where they're writing the comic or whatever?
Yes.
I just watched that one today, actually, before we got on here.
How funny! So that one, and I mean, I like I always like the ones where there's some sort of caper involved, and I do go into like Mission Impossible style scoring.
Yeah, and Miguel was sick. Miguel was sick in the episode too. I remember that.
Right. And he was drawing it. He was drawing the cartoon. Yes. I haven't thought about this in so long, but that show. I mean, the episodes were like full length episodes. There was a lot of story in each of them, and the music was basically wall to wall. So it was a lot of work.
I bet it definitely was, because it's an amazing show and it still holds up.
That's incredible. You watch it on YouTube, or they have a channel?
Yeah, I watch it on YouTube, and I think actually Tubi's streaming it too, but I don't. I think Tubi is.
Oh.
So
you're going back and watch it now.
So we might have to watch it because that's interesting.
It's an amazing show. I know somebody who I interviewed on another podcast I was a part of it wrote an episode for Andy Yerkes.
Yes. I remember that name. I think I remember him.
He's awesome. He wrote on Bear the Big Blue House.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
wow,
another good show.
When you work in the post production, you don't get to meet as many people as you think. When I moved to LA and started working on a Pink Panther show, they actually made a little studio for me to write in the studio, with all the writers and animators and artists and directors. And that was such a great experience, because for a few months I was just like working with them and getting to know them, and it really helped the whole collaboration. But usually on these shows, you're coming in at the end, you're only dealing with a few people, and then you get notes from other people. So on Maya and Miguel, I was kind of a little isolated, but Oh,
see.
I did actually meet a lot of people in that show that I told you about where I sang the theme song. That came from somebody who was just like an artist on the show who recommended me for that show. So
Yeah.
Huh.
I wasn't completely in the dark.
Yeah.
That's interesting. This is actually a funny question. Did you actually meet some of the voice actors? I don't think you did. Like Candy Milo and I think that's her name, Candy Milo and
Yeah.
Nikki Futterman. Did you ever meet them?
I never met them. I've met them like through Facebook and LinkedIn and chatted with them that way, but never, no, because the voices are done so far in advance.
Yeah.
And it's such
Figured.
not a part of it. I think I met the guy who did Paco.
Oh my gosh!
Oh my gosh!
Carlos.
Taco.
Yeah,
I remember
he does a
him.
lot of-
Carlos Azu. I don't. He's a voice actor.
It's
Carlos.
Alizraki.
Yes. I've
Amazing.
met him at other like industry things, but I
Icon.
didn't meet him through the show.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
He's awesome.
Cool.
He's freaking Mr. Crocker.
Those are professional voice actors, right?
What?
Lost you. I don't hear you.
Okay. You don't hear
Now-
me?
Now I
Yeah,
do.
we can.
Now you're good.
Okay, there we go. Okay, I was just say those are those are like legendary voice actors right there.
Yeah, they do so much stuff.
They do.
They do a ton.
You didn't connect with the voice actors, but did you connect with the writers? Or get to meet them?
On that show, I would say no, not at all. I don't. I mean, I just never was part of that.
Yeah.
They had it wasn't like it was there. I think there was like 65 episodes, but we just did them all and it might have been divided up into 3 or 4 seasons, but we just did them as one continuous season. I don't even know. They may have all been written by the time I was working on it. That doesn't sound right, but it was as if that, because I just worked on that for like a year and a half straight. And so there was never a time where there was a break and okay, for the next season we're going to try this. It just seemed like it was one giant season.
Yeah. Like there was amazing writers like Chris New did Doc McStuffins and Joe Costa Turner and people.
See, I didn't even know that, but that's it doesn't surprise me. I mean, these, sometimes on animation shows,
yeah,
they like a big problem is, since a lot of shows do get picked up for a second season, but it's not guaranteed. When they get to the end of the first season, they want to know if they're going to have a second season, because then they could just say like, okay, everybody just stay where you are. You're working for another year. But if they don't have the green light to go to the second season, everybody starts looking for other jobs. And then when they get you're doing a second season, then everybody's all off in different places and they have to restaff and start over. So I think that's part of the reason why they just did it all in one giant season.
Makes sense.
That makes sense there.
Also, it's a little different. I think I'm kind of not. This is just my guess, but I think it's different with PBS, because PBS funds their shows. They're not looking for advertisers to fund them, so they can just make what they want and then put it out. And it doesn't really matter if it's if they're getting the ratings or not. They can still just put it out. They'll find a use for it. And I mean, here it is, like 15 years later. So
people are still talking about it. It's an amazing show.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention this. I forgot to mention this when we had previous guests that worked for PBS Kids Go. I wanted to mention that it's a real shame that it ended in 2013.
Exactly.
Because it was because once Dash left PBS, but they still do DOT. Once the Dash and DOT era just left, it wasn't good anymore. I just didn't watch PBS as much. I wasn't into it as much as I was.
Yeah, well, you may have outgrown it. I haven't kept up with it. It's hard to keep up with anything.
Yeah, I watched a lot of shows till I was like 12 years old at the time. I watched a lot of shows of that nature since I was 12, because I remember one of my PBS stations that I had actually used to air Thomas at like before the rest of the model series of Thomas at like 12:30. So right
Oh,
around
wow.
lunchtime. It was like this was like 2013. And then once everything switched, like maybe September of that year, I didn't watch it anymore. And that was a shame. But I still watch the other good shows like The Electric Company and stuff
All
like
those main
that.
games,
Yeah.
PBS.
So I
The
got a
Electric
chance.
Company from the 70s, or is that a
No,
new?
No, they rebooted it for PBS Kids
Yeah, and like
Oh,
the
that's
early.
great.
Yeah,
with the new cast.
yeah.
I
Not the
love
one
that.
from the
That's
70s.
fantastic.
And I think Martha's Feast was still going on there. I'm trying to think.
Amazing.
Oh, I
Word
remember
World.
that.
Word World. Love Word World. I love Word World. That was
Mm-hmm.
going on there. So I would still watch those shows. And then once a lot of those shows went away, I didn't like the new stuff.
Mm.
Yeah,
The only one,
Right.
not as good.
the only ones that was interesting was Odd Squad. So
Oh yeah, Odd Squad.
Mm-hmm.
that was the only pretty good one. But everything else, like Peg, Daniel. I'm trying to think what
Daniel
else.
was okay.
Trying to think what else. I can't think of
After that.
anything on the top of my head at the moment.
So many stuff that was
Just and Ready Jet Go, all those weren't really my style.
Mhm.
Daniel was the only good one to me.
But it's still great that we're able. And I'm also thankful for the PBS Retro for helping us out because they're bringing back like Zaboomafoo and the Crack Creature stuff and Mr. Rogers and they
I
even
don't know
brought
any of
back
this.
Thomas.
I don't know anything. I know Mr. Rogers,
Oh.
but
Yeah,
that's just
yeah, it's on Roku
really
if you guys want to check it out.
educational for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's on Roku.
Zaboomafoo was amazing. And I'm happy that they're bringing these shows back, like Zaboomafoo.
Same.
Yeah, let's just hope they
Cool.
bring back more PBS memories. Well, anyway, right now, moving on from the PBS part, we'll just go into your Warner Brothers, and I think a lot of people are really big on Tom and Jerry. So, how did you start doing
yeah.
that?
Okay, well, again, I had some contacts at Warner Brothers, and they reached out to me, and they said they're doing a new take on Tom and Jerry, and they were looking for composers, and I think we all have to score a couple scenes and show them how we would approach it, and I was one of the people that they picked, and so I worked on that, and that was really fun because that. There's no dialogue, so it's like all music, and that was just really fun, and got to do a lot of that classic cartoon stuff, which it's not like I really knew too much how to do that, so I had to there was a bit of a learning curve for me, but usually when I work on something, if it's a style I don't know, I usually, instead of just learning a little bit about it, I end up kind of doing a deep dive and really trying to understand like what was different about Tom and Jerry the music compared to Bugs Bunny, and what was the size of the orchestra that they used, and how did they get those sounds, and how did they orchestrate stuff, and how was it originally scored. And I got really into it, and I feel like as a composer and an arranger and an orchestrator, I really, from where I was when I started to where it ended is just like, it was like, getting a master's degree in scoring. It was just so much stuff and so much to learn.
Yeah, Tom and Jerry is a classic, so everybody's gonna love it.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah, I'm not big on it as much as I used to, but I used to watch Boomerang all the time. Boomerang all the time in Cartoon Network. Boomerang had really good music on it too. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Boomerang had great music.
Yeah, Boomerang. Well, all that. Yeah, all because a lot of that stuff is that kind of retro stuff and retro inspired stuff, and that's just, it does always have good music. I've done that thing where they reach out to me for another show, and so now I'm always sort of in that sort of classic cartoon music mode, and then I realize, oh no, this is like, not most cartoons don't use this style of music. They want whatever they want. It's usually something else. So yeah, I know what you mean. So when you hear that classic stuff, it's really fun.
Yeah, the classic stuff.
I know Scooby has some of that aspect still, and
Yeah.
it's amazing what they're doing with it.
Yeah. All right, any of you guys got any questions? I'm gonna.
Was there? Here's a question: if you could work on any Warner Brothers show, what would it be? Besides Tom and Jerry, of course.
Well,
because I would love to see you work on Scooby, because the new stuff's good enough, but your stuff's amazing.
You know, that was what I was going to say, because I don't think of the shows, like I don't think of the studios from them, but I know the thing about Warner Brothers is they have so many, you know, so much IP. They have so many, you know, they don't do as much new stuff as much as they keep going back.
Mhm.
I think I would like to do Scooby-Doo, but I'd like to do it maybe with a different approach than probably how it's been done, with the same, you know, kind of haunted house music that you hear all the time. Maybe in that case not do something classic and kind of go for something not new and cheesy, but maybe just give it a totally new, whacked out score. But I don't know the names. I don't know the shows, but I always like anything that has sort of a retro jazzy feel.
There you go.
I just have so much fun doing that, and I think it works in so many styles. And it's kind of funny because I write so much big band music, and I'm like, well, this music, nobody really likes it. And then you watch a movie like Monsters Inc. or The Incredibles, and then you hear that's the music that still works so well.
Yeah.
It really works well in those styles.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Speaking, you know, in music of styles, some of my favorite sound fonts from television shows were Proteus. So I love. Wasn't that used in Maya and Miguel? Because I know that was used in like the earlier parts of Thomas and Friends, which is one my favorite show of all time, the modeled era, of course. So that's, you know, didn't they? I think, you know, didn't you use Proteus in that in Maya and Miguel, or no?
Okay, so when you say Proteus, like I know what sound fonts are, but I think like Proteus was an actual like module, like a sound module, meaning it was like a keyboard, but without the keyboard. It was like the sounds of the keyboard. And there was this one, the Proteus, which I remember. I don't think I had it, but I remember that was in the 90s. That was like one that was really like, wow, people are using this on records. I'm trying to remember I think I was still using. I remember I would get videotapes and I would have to digitize them, which was like incredible that I could even do that. And then I used a bunch of sound modules, not the Proteus, but that sort of thing. It was hard to get really authentic sounds. You know, on that show, there's so many trumpets and horns, and it was really, really sort of a challenge to do it with the MIDI sounds that were available. But
I could imagine.
But what I kind of learned to do then, and I still do it, is when you sort of realize the limitations of the sounds, and instead of trying to make them do things they can't do, kind of just write for those sounds. And so like on Maya Miguel, you'll hear that trumpet shake so much where it's like bang, and you hear that all through.
I remember that.
And I use that so much because that's just one sample. It's not like it's not me playing it. It's just a sample of a trumpet, you know, hitting a high note and shaking.
Yeah.
And you hear it in the theme song, but you hear it throughout the show. But so I was like, oh well, that sample sounds so good, so I'm going to use that a lot more, and not try to. Whereas if I didn't have that sample, it would be really hard to do a shake like that, and I would probably not do it. I wouldn't, instead of trying to do it and have it sound bad, I would just not do it.
There you go. Good answer.
That is a good answer. These answers are nice. I mean, we normally get a lot of good answers anyway, but you know, sometimes I don't. You know, we don't get really good conversations. We've had some episodes where we haven't really had good conversations, but you know, that was in my earlier. That's when I first started. So
we're done better.
But we're doing a lot better as we go on here, and this is, you know.
Oh, you're doing a great job. I'll tell you one thing about the Maya and Miguel theme song. The other thing that I was thinking about it is, it's kind of funny because as I said, since I came to LA, I've been writing a lot of big band music, and in big band music, especially the instrumental stuff, it's really important that you, when you're writing an arrangement, that it develops, but it always keeps you interested, and you end up changing keys a lot and doing all these changes to the texture, and it's kind of it's really challenging to make something that someone can listen to for 3 or 4 minutes, where it's all music and they're still paying attention, and they never get bored, and they never feel like they know what's going to happen. You're always sort of surprising them. So so if I wrote Maya and Miguel today, what I'm about to tell you wouldn't be so surprising. But it is kind of weird that I did it back then, because I was really not a very sophisticated composer. But there's something that happens, and if there are any musicians listening, you'll get it, and maybe you guys will get it just intuitively. But so the first chorus plays, right? It's Maya and Miguel. And then when it goes to with each misadventure. So what happens there is I change key. I change the key and I bring it down. And I do the verse in a different key. And then it does that da 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 da. And then what happens is it modulates. And this is a trick that I do now all the time, is it modulates to a new key. It sounds like it's modulating to a new key, but it's actually going back to the original key, because I had actually modulated it down. Normally, when you think of a modulation, it's always going up. Again, don't worry if you don't understand what I'm saying, but I'm sure there's like 1 or 2 people listening who might know. So usually when you modulate, you go up. When you hear a song go to another key, it's usually up. So I brought it down, and then when I brought it up, it sounds like it's in this brand new key, but it's actually just going back to the original key. Like the front chorus and the back chorus are actually the same key. So I don't know if that's interesting, but I don't even know how I did it. I must have heard it like that in my head, because I didn't know that was a technique to I do it now when I have a song and it's in a really good key for a singer, and I want to have a modulation at the end, but I'm afraid if we modulate, it's going to be too high for them to sing. So what I do is between that, I'll modulate down so that when it gets to the end, you hear this crescendo and you hear this build, and it's going up. And to the listener, it sounds like we're going up, but they don't realize we're actually back where we started. It's just a funny technique. And it's funny that I really don't know how I came up with that at the time, but
that's
awesome.
We've interviewed a lot of people from LA. I don't know if I don't know if you did check out the podcast a little bit before we started this, but we've had a lot of people, and they've had stories, and we've had people that have done a lot of work too over there, those, like, you just get a mini role for like a song or something, and then they just put their voice in it, but they're just not I don't think they're credited. We've had somebody like that on here.
Very cool.
So, yeah.
I know Purple hasn't asked a question yet.
Yeah, go ahead, Purple.
I do not have any, sadly, actually, tonight.
What about you, Jordan?
Well, I do have something to say.
Right,
I read somewhere that you worked on the theme song for Gullah Gullah Island.
Is this true?
No.
That might have been Peter Lurie.
Sorry, that was
Peter Lurie.
Sorry, that was a wrong.
That
sorry,
was Peter Lurie.
Sorry.
Talk to Peter Lurie about that.
What else did you work on?
Where was this at? I want to know. Where'd you find this, Jordan?
Sorry, I looked up the wrong guy. Darn it.
Oh. It's all good.
You know what's funny is I've gotten work because people have thought I was somebody else.
Like what?
And if it's happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to other people too. And I'm sure maybe somebody got hired for something because they thought they were me. It kind of goes around and comes around.
What ones have you gotten besides Gullah Gullah Island? What ones have you gotten besides what just happened?
Yeah.
Oh,
well, let me think for a second.
Hey, Jordan, don't feel bad, Jordan. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, Jordan, don't feel bad.
Don't feel bad. It really does happen all the time. I can't think of a show, but I do as a I have a really good friend who's a really good arranger, and our names are very similar, and I've gotten hired for things, and then when I come in, I can see that they thought I was him, and they're sort of surprised that it's me.
Oh, I see.
I also worked on something where I didn't get the job, and then a few months later they came back to me and they said, can you resubmit? And I was like, okay, I'll do it again. And I thought maybe they were retooling the show, so like maybe the show is different now and they still haven't found a composer. And I did that, and then they hired me, and then I later found out that actually they did pick a composer the first time, but he died. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm laughing at that point. But
dear.
But it's just it's just interesting how stuff happens. But the show must go on.
Yeah, it's all good. By the way, Jordan, it's all good. People put IMDb stuff on the time. For example,
they do.
Purple asked somebody something about working on Little Shop of Horrors when he didn't in my interview, or one of my interviews. So
yeah, there is, and there's also a credit on my IMDb that I noticed that it's like I don't even. Sometimes I get credited for stuff because they use my music and stuff, and I just get credited.
Okay.
But there's a few things where it's like I don't even. It like has me as like a cameraman on something. I don't even know. I have no idea what that.
It doesn't say it on IMDb.
Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, there's a lot of false things, so you don't have a reason to worry.
There is. I know. Andy, go back to Andy Yerkes. He had one of those because someone put that he worked on wrote an episode of Blue's Clues. We asked him about it. He didn't work on it.
Oh,
right. Well, yeah. I mean, listen. If someone said to me, "We want to hire you for a show. We love what you did on Goa Island," I would definitely keep my mouth shut and just nod.
You should be like, "Yes, I will."
Yeah, you do it. So you do it. Yeah, I feel that.
It needs to come back. Bring all these kid shows back because they're rebooting.
Yes, please.
Why isn't there a Maya Miguel reboot? Which, speaking of it, if they reach out to you and said, "Do you want to come back and do the music?" Would you do it?
Of course, yeah.
Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah, let's bring back Maya Miguel, man. Yeah, hopefully.
Come on, bring back all these kid shows.
Yeah, bring them back.
They brought back Blue's Clues, so anything is possible.
I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Whoops, sorry.
Oh, that's totally fine. Oh yeah, I know you mentioned that a composer died. I think a voice actor from Maya Miguel died as well. I forgot who they were. I think somebody did someone from Maya Miguel actually died. One of the voice actors. I think the grandma maybe.
Abuela, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised because she seemed like she was an older woman, so that wouldn't surprise me. But I haven't kept up on anything like that. But
it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, time marches on for all of us.
Yeah. So working in the LA, working for LA music, you have a big career. You must have a decent. Well, you might not a big career, but you work in the music there. I want to know, did you come across anybody there? Because I think I may have had a few people on that may know you. Or that the names may sound familiar. And this was just something that they worked on another show. These were people that worked on like a Jim Henson show a long time ago. So are you familiar with like Randy Cranshaw or Amy Engelhart or both Michael and Patty Silvershire, or any of those? Because I think
they don't ring a bell, but they don't sound unfamiliar either. But what is like right now I'm working on something. It's actually my own show. It's like a musical show that I'll maybe we'll talk about it in another episode when it's a little more, when I have a little something more concrete. But
okay.
I found an artist that I've been collaborating with, and she's been in the industry as long as I have, and then we realized we've actually worked on things together because, she's an artist and I'm a composer, and we work in animation. And
Cool.
but we have never met, but we've worked on these things together. It's just it's kind of just a funny way that you could do that. It's like, it's like, going through your ancestry and seeing like, oh, I'm related to, look at all these people I'm related to. And
Yeah.
but you have no idea, because you're sort of in your little compartments.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I just was like, you work in LA, so I was like, I just wanted to, make sure. Just
Yeah.
wanted to like make sure, because music industry, you have a lot of people from that date, from that state, not date but state. Sorry, I meant to say, but you have a lot of people from that, from there. There's people located in Los Angeles, there's people located in New York, or there's like located in Texas. Like, I feel like that there's like a group of people, and maybe they know people from just that group.
I just think that
Hmm?
all the like the artists and the directors, they all know each other. I mean, I'm sure, some of these people that I know, when they go and they see any movie, like a Pixar movie or a Disney movie, and they watch the credits, they probably can, oh look, oh it's Jim, oh it's Fawn, it's they probably see so many people that they know. But just because as I said, I'm coming into by the time I'm coming into the project, most of these people have already moved on to other projects themselves. I just don't get as much interaction with them, and it's sort of a shame, because because they probably would be great not just contacts, but colleagues and friends. But that's sort of like the music people end up dealing more with the directors and the producers, but less of the actual storyboard artists and the artists themselves.
Makes sense.
Absolutely, that makes that makes a lot of sense there. It's kind of hard for me to really say, but like I said earlier, it's it's just that's why I just asked about all these things. I like to ask if you would know these people or know this person, because you work on the show together. So but now interviewing these people or listening to other podcasts, I'm realizing that's not always 100% the case, but most of the time it's kind of true. Like that you worked at the voice actors, or that you know them, or that you know something, or you knew, or an actor, or all of them. But most of the time that is true, and half of the time it's not.
Sure. Well, totally, yes. I think it's less true with the composers.
Yeah, because they're more in the post range of things. So
Yes. Yeah.
that you guys are just behind the sound. You're not really, so you guys don't really act anything out. So you don't act anything out. You don't, you're not the actors. So
Right. Now, occasionally, like on the Pink Panther and Pals show, there was one episode where it was like a musical show, and so actually we did most of the music even before we animated. And in that case, I'm working really closely with the directors and the animators, and that was really a pretty cool episode. It's called Notably Pink, if you ever want to look it up. Pink Panther,
wow.
Pink.
Notably Pink.
But and then there's also, every once in a while on an episode, they want a song, like they want the cast to be singing a song. So in that case, they'll bring you in really early, and you actually do work with the voice talent and people much farther, who are much earlier in the production. But on the shows I've worked on, it doesn't, because Pink Panther and Tom and Jerry, as I said, there was no dialogue, so it definitely never happened on that.
Yeah, just no, I'm just curious about all these things, because it's just nice that we're able to reach out to other people now, to people that worked in the industry now, and find out some more about our childhoods. It's always great. It's always great.
Amazing. And
I'm so glad that the show has stayed with you, and you're still loving it. That's incredible to me.
Yeah,
I always felt like, while I was doing it, like, oh, like where are all the kids who grew up with Maya and Miguel? Like I want to, I want to. And it's funny, every once in a while I meet someone and they're like, "Oh, you did that," and then they start singing the theme song. It's like so crazy that just people know your music like that, and they just have it burnt into their brains.
I gotta ask, is that your favorite job? Is that probably your favorite TV show job?
Maya and Miguel?
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
that your favorite?
I
Okay,
think
well that
so,
makes
because-
sense. Yeah, that's probably my favorite. That's probably my favorite too. That because I love the music and the background scores. It's funny and it's very creative and just it's actually really good for a you give a good Mexican rhythm rhythm there. You give good Mexican
Right.
rhythm.
You do.
Well, that was the thing, is that they wanted it to have a lot of Mexican and Afro-Cuban and music in there, and
Yeah.
they wanted it to, and I wanted it to be
Mhm.
authentic. I didn't want it to just sound like, oh, here I listened to 2 songs and now I can do Latin music. I wanted it to sound
Yeah.
real, but
Of course.
sometimes like authentic, especially with a kids show, like authentic isn't really what even though that's what you want idealistically, it actually doesn't work with the show. Like it just wouldn't work if there was like this real like burning salsa music. It just would not, it would sound too adult and dark. But
Yeah.
so it was always like trying to find this balance, like how can I incorporate the elements, but also make it sound like a cartoon show, but also not be disrespectful to the actual type of music that it is.
Yeah, of course.
That was always the balancing act for me.
Of course.
That's-
Yeah. It's just it's like I said, it's incredible to see, it's incredible to know some of the music history. And just something else. What was it, Maya McGill? Like, I think I said this to another composer that's on here. I talked about rough cut and just doing something your own. I think, and I said that a rough cut could be, I could be wrong, but you score you score while the picture is there, or you score while the video is there, and then or I don't know, I don't know how that really how that works. But is that how you scored Maya McGill? Is that how you scored Maya McGill, with just, you looked at the animation or you looked at the cartoon and you just scored whatever came to mind, or did they just reuse music? Because I'm sure sometimes they did that.
It was always scored, but on any show where like once you start having, you get past like 20 episodes, you start to amass a little bit of a library. But I don't think I ever used things from my library, but I would reuse the motifs and the music. I mean, there's like so many on that show in particular. I mean, I probably the audience wouldn't know it, but I had like a theme for almost every thing that they could be doing and every character. And so it starts to get easier because you're not wondering what should I do here, because you already kind of have oh, okay, they're some whatever it is, they're going on an adventure, so you kind of like, oh, maybe I'll just use the Maya and Miguel theme but do it in a different way, make it sound like Americana or something, but use the melody. So you just have to think a lot less. But doing those first 20 episodes are hard because you're kind of really writing. You have to write every single thing and hope that you're doing something that's good. I'm sure there were a lot of things that I didn't end up going back to because you just try so much stuff. I mean, you're making me want to go back and listen to it. So
yeah, well, I mean, you still have the scores in the library, so just take a listen. You can listen to it officially. You have people that, well, you know what? If people wanted to, they could instrumentalize an episode. I can't judge people, but there are people out there that use AI and they remove vocals from their certain show.
Oh yeah. I've started to play with that a little bit, but that's interesting. I didn't know people were doing that, but
hey, you want to know something? It's so great how childhood music, like from certain TV shows, like everybody's interested in listening to just single artists, like like, let's see, Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber and all that. And honestly, I think that score music is a little better.
It is.
Score music's better because, we get to listen we get to listen to some work, some great work, and just we can imagine what if we were in this show and we get to fight to this music and and just like when you're playing a video game, it's like when you play the video game, you're actually helping the character like fight to the music. It's great. That's why I'm into Mario and Sonic a lot as well, because I just love how the way the music is. And let me tell you, the Japanese compose some of the best music in video games. I'm not gonna lie.
Definitely. For sure.
They
For
compose. Sure. They do.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and they're yeah. I love that that sort of what do they call it? Where the music where you do the music like the where you just use the three tones because the three sounds. 8-bit or chip tune.
Chip tune.
That's like
chip tune, whatever they use. But okay, we're gonna go on ahead and get to fan questions because I'm sure let's go on ahead and get them. So
I only got one. Go ahead. You got yours. I got one.
Yeah. Okay. And we're just actually start with Martin's questions first because he was actually supposed to be here this episode, but for some reason he bailed out. I think I know why he told me, but it's I think it might have been personal, but I don't know.
Yeah, we don't want to tell. We can't say. Yeah.
Right. So he says here is his first question. His first question is saying, how long have you been composing? And well, you've already kind of confirmed that you've been composing for maybe over 20 years. So
yes, I mean like a little over, maybe like 25 years.
Yeah. 25. Well, there you go. 25. There you go. I was 5 off, but that's okay. I knew it was over 20 years because you worked for a long time. Because it looks like you worked for a very long time on this on shows. And plus, Maya McGill was actually 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago. So happy 20th anniversary to Maya McGill, I guess.
Happy 20 years of work on that show.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Come on. Start a petition. They bring back Barney now.
A petition.
And his second question is, how did you write the music for Maya and Miguel? Well, you just explained that you just used, certain instruments that you used, and I think did you use regular musical instruments on the show too? I wouldn't be surprised if you did.
Yeah, well, I play guitar and bass and
nice.
trombone, so I did a little bit of that. I'll tell you something kind of funny.
Go ahead.
I didn't. As I said, I was trying to be very authentic with the music, and I bought a book of piano, like Latin piano. They call them montunos, and those are like they're sort of like these patterns that the piano player plays over the different vamps in traditional music, and I learned a couple of those, and they are the kind of thing where it is the same in every song. It's not like you need to change it that much, but some of them I just played right out of the book into some of the music. If you hear anything with like really good piano, it's probably just from this Latin piano method book that I happen to have. And I remember always being a little scared that like, oh wait, is someone going to notice this? Are we going to get in trouble? But as I said, that's like saying I played a drum beat, I'm playing the same drum beat from a song on this song. I mean, you can play the same drum beat. It's that's how it is. But yeah, that was one way that I kept it authentic.
There you go.
Right. And he has a third question. He says, what were your experiences like working the music for Tom and Jerry? And that's already been confirmed as well. You can if you want to just do a recap a little bit.
I mean, it was just the best because the music was so challenging, and I had to really learn how to do it, and I wanted to be able to do it in a way where it sounded authentic, and it didn't just sound like, oh, this guy just learned a few little tricks and he just keeps going to that well. I mean, I really, if you listen to the first episode I did and the last one, there's just a huge evolution. Yeah. And so I feel like I really grew a lot working on that one.
Yeah, of course. And
Also,
so,
that season that I worked on it, the episodes were like 11 minutes long, which is
yeah,
really, really long for no dialogue. And after I left,
it's
they
true.
cut them down to 7 minutes, and that made them. So it was just a little more challenging to try to keep the, not let the viewer get bored. And it's that same thing I was saying about the big band music. The music is doing so much to keep you engaged.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. And okay, I think, and we have another one of my friends is Tori Benson's. Her first question is, ooh, and she actually asked a good question. These are actually good. Okay, she
Mhm.
says, "What is your favorite genre of music?" She wants to know that.
Hmm. For listening, I listen to so much different stuff. Um, but I think that sort of quirky, jazzy orchestra music is the thing that when I hear that kind of music, I love it, but I'm so interested in it. So like, wow, how'd they do that? How'd they get that sound? How are they voicing that? What instruments are playing? How'd they do that? And can I do that? I mean, that's the stuff that really attracts me. So that kind of that sort of like 60s Henry Mancini stuff really just captures my imagination. But I mean, I do listen to so much different stuff, indie, like current stuff as well as old stuff and 80s stuff and synth stuff, everything.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some stuff is great. You gotta when you're scoring a show, there's always a catchy tune. So
It all
and
comes down to that, the tune, the
yes,
melody, the tune. I mean, how you get there is not as important.
and her another
Yeah.
question is, what inspired you to compose music?
I mean, I think it's just. I mean, I as a kid, I just always loved music and always wanted to do it. Probably from the first time I really heard a song I liked and started singing along to it and dancing along to it.
Of course. Of course. And her
Mhm.
final question is this. And finally, what are some of your favorite songs you composed? Oh.
Good depth.
Mm.
I think I think we probably went through that, but favorite songs.
Songs. Okay, I have two songs that you could find on Spotify or Apple Music that I'm kind of I think are really good. I don't do a ton of songs, and the
Yeah.
ones I
Yeah.
do for the ones I do for the TV shows, um, a lot of the time. Although I mean, for Maya and Miguel, as I said, that one they just gave me a brief and told me to write something. But
Hmm.
normally the writers already have some of the lyrical ideas, so you're kind of
Yes.
just putting it to
Yeah.
music. But if you I don't know if you're going to have links when this goes up, but if you could put a link to this one song of mine, it's called.
Okay.
You go to David Ricard on Spotify or Apple Music or however you listen to music, and you look up
Okay.
a song called "Jingle Jangle Jungle," and it's a
Jingle,
Christmas
jingle,
song, but it's an
jungle.
original Christmas song,
Oh
and
Jingle,
wow.
I
jingle.
just
Ooh.
I'll let one of our
Hmm.
co-hosts know about that.
Hmm.
and
I.
it's like to me what I'm so happy like this is like sort of the best compliment I get on it is people don't believe I wrote it. They're like, no, this is a classic Christmas song, and I'm like, no, it isn't. I wrote this, and they almost don't believe me. So I guess that's my favorite song that I've written
Mhm.
Hmm.
to Tori or whatever her
All
name was.
right. Jingle, jingle. I'm looking at it. I
Oh, I
don't
found it.
think.
Jordan
Oh.
found it.
Okay. Well, I'll have to post a link to that probably.
Thank you.
And yeah. All right. All right. All right. Wyatt, you said you had a friend. You said
I
you had a
do have
friend.
a friend. My purple have a friend. This question,
Yeah.
I'm surprised it hasn't been asked. What is your favorite piece of Tom and Jerry music you did?
Do you know the show? Like, if you knew the show, I could tell you there's this one episode. There might even be two episodes. I can't think of the actual cue,
Yeah.
but as I said, I really like this sort of capery film noir stuff. I love writing that, And there's this one episode where it was like one of them was a private investigator, you know,
Oh, wow.
a PI, and it was like a film. The whole vibe of the show was that film noir style. And I remember the narrator was Gary Cole, who's well-known actor.
Oh yeah, I've heard of him.
And so, yeah, I mean, again, I'm sure if I went through the cues, I could go, oh no, this one I really like, or this one I'm really surprised that I wrote this, and this one is really interesting. But I really just love writing that style. That sort of with the alto flutes and the triangles and the jazzy stuff and the upright bass. I just love. I never get tired of writing like that. And the muted horns.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So that was a question from your friend, Wyatt?
That was the question. Mine and Purple's. Purple, by the way, Purple's playing Minecraft. Get off there, Purple. We're doing it.
I know. I was just downloading it. Sorry.
Okay. Okay. But anyway, guys, once again, thank you guys for your questions. So I hope a lot of y'all's questions have been answered. Like I said, guys, keep on asking questions whenever I say, we're interviewing this person or this person. That way, if you know the person, I want you to have the chance to interact with the person. So, guys, please do that. That's one thing that some certain podcasts don't let you do. They don't let you answer questions, but we do. So,
same with mine.
You guys have answered, and I appreciate that. For those that have answered questions, thank you. You guys really are the best. Gee, we talked a lot. We've covered a lot about shows.
Would you come back?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to come back. I'd like to come back and be maybe a little more prepared so I can answer these questions a little more, like have some more specific answers. Maybe even I'll have some of the audio that I can send to you so people know what we're talking about. Because I don't think people know this. If I say the name of a cue from Maya Miguel, I don't think anyone's going to know it. But maybe I'll find some of the audio and send it. Or I can even just send some of that to you now if anyone's interested.
Yeah, please do. Send me some Maya Miguel music. Send me whatever you can. Please.
Speaking of the Maya Miguel music, there was another person on, Jack Lively or something.
That's
who's somebody.
That? Oh, Jack Livesey.
Yeah.
Yes. It was his company that hired me to do the music.
Oh wow, let's get it.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Actually, may I ask you this? What is your favorite Maya and Miguel character? Do you have a favorite character?
Well, I mean, it's got to be Maya and Miguel, right?
I can understand. I also like, I think I like Cressy and Maggie too, and I also like Theo and Andy. And the thing about Andy is he only has one hand.
Oh yes, I remember him.
Yeah, that was a little before its time. You see more of that now, but I don't remember. I remember that was sort of a new thing they were really great about inclusion on that show. I mean, that was sort of the whole point of the show anyway.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was a little ahead of its time.
Absolutely. They're doing that a lot more now in shows than they did back then. And that's, that's something I like, I kind of liked because, what about, because about the shows back then, you actually learned something. You learned something a little more with a person that's not 100% able, that doesn't have has one hand, one arm. You can learn a lot from them.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and also, as I said, I have this other project that I think your listeners would be really interested in. Again, I don't want to say anything until it's a little more concrete, but I would love to share it with you and your listeners.
Oh,
there you go.
All right, there you go. Well, I mean, I know you can't right now, but
you'll come back.
Maybe we'll have you back soon, and we'll go a little bit of have a little bit of a deep dive, and stuff like that. And Yeah, it'll be fun. This has been fun talking with you
It
as
has
well.
been.
I gotta say, I gotta say, just we don't get a lot of people. We don't get a lot of very smart. It's kind of hard to bring guests on this podcast anyway. We don't get a very we don't get a lot that go in depth sometimes. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they don't. So it's kind of hard to find. But don't worry. Hey, in one episode I said, hey, the longer the stories are, the better. That's what I
Yeah, like
say.
this
That's what I
episode.
say. So, you've actually done pretty well with it. I gotta say.
You
I
did.
mean, how long do you have? How long do you have till you gotta pop, Mister?
I should get going right
All
now.
right, all
But,
right,
All
all
right,
right.
Dave, ask the final question then.
All right, well then we'll ask we'll ask the question. I'll just ask these final two questions. For anybody that wants to get into music, what do you think they should do? And
Do you have
how
any
can
advice
they?
for them?
Yeah, any advice?
Well, it's so funny because if you had asked me that 5 years ago, I think I would have had a different answer. But just with the amount of production music that's out there, like royalty free music that people are able to use,
Yeah.
and what's going on with AI and where that's going to go, I don't know. I really don't have a great answer. I mean, I think you should follow your heart, follow your passion, and really use that as your compass, because I just think it's the landscape. I don't want to say that it's getting harder and harder, because I think there's always been challenges, and it's always
Yeah.
about how we get around
Yeah.
those challenges. It's never been easy. It's never been like, oh, I'm going to just send out a few emails and I'm going to get hired to do stuff. It's always been
Yeah.
a big hustle. But I think just find the stuff that you really, really. I mean, this is in a way what I do. Like I tell you, oh, I love doing this sort of capery music or the jazzy orchestra, and I just spend a lot of time getting good at that, and loving doing it, and then hope that when someone has a project that needs that kind of music, I'll be one of the only people they think of, and then that'll be great, because then I get to work on something where I really can contribute in a meaningful way. I mean, I think it's really good to sort of have a specialty, and so many composers that I meet, I'll say, like, what kind of music do you write? And they just say, oh, I do everything. And
Oh wow.
we all do everything. That's true. We all can do. There's very little that I can't do, in some way, and make it sound pretty authentic. I might have to do a little research, but there's very little that I can't do. But that doesn't mean I'm great at all those styles, or that I can do it in a way that's super authentic or super convincing. And I think it's really good to just have a specialty, and don't just pick one. Pick the one that really resonates with you, so that even when you're not working, you can be working on this stuff and you're enjoying just getting better at it and exploring it.
There you go.
Absolutely. There you go. There you go. So there you all go. There's some information for you guys.
Awesome.
And our final question is this is actually actually a question that we asked all the guests. So of course, this is, my show is called Entertainment Treasure Talk, with me, of course, Samuel Warwick, of course. And this is the part of the episode where we ask, what is something that's entertainment treasure to you, which is like, which means what is your favorite, type of pop culture, like in music
something you
or
enjoy.
show. Yeah, like your favorite all-time show, video games, or music or TV shows, or any of that.
Whatever. Freestyle. I'm kidding.
Okay, that I mean, what is funny is now this stuff is so available. It's kind of funny for me, because I'll just see a clip from something, I'm like, what is this? I know what this is. And it's like, oh, this was a commercial from when I was a kid on Saturday morning.
Oh,
and just
yeah.
like kind of and just like kind of rediscovering that stuff. Like Schoolhouse Rock is like something I just really love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I actually have, you know, I have like the CDs. I mean, I still listen to it. I love the music. I love the kind of weird 70s vibe that it has. I love the look of it. I love that they're short. I love that you can like learn something from them. That's like, but it's so hard to just pick one thing. But I guess if I just off the top of my head, I would just say Schoolhouse Rock.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know what else is really what's interesting to me about Schoolhouse Rock is, now I'm older than you guys, so when it would be on Saturday mornings, and they were interstitials, meaning they weren't shows.
Yeah.
They were like, it was sort of like a commercial that they would insert at the end of something else. So nobody watched it on purpose, right? Like nobody was like, oh, it's 10:30, let's go to ABC to watch Schoolhouse Rock. But I think it's the thing people remember the most. Like most, I don't remember all the shows I was watching before and after it, but I remember Schoolhouse Rock, and I think that's a real testament to how strong it was and how much it captured everybody's imagination, because you weren't even watching it on purpose, and I still can sing the songs and remember the images.
So iconic.
Yeah.
I know Purple remembers that show too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, your cat's just hanging around. I know.
Yeah,
Hello, hi, cat. Yeah. Well, anyway, if anybody can find you, David, where can they, look for you?
If you go to if you go to davidricard.com, from there, there's links to my YouTube channel where you can see all the TV stuff I've done or commercials.
Yeah.
And you can go to my Spotify and my Apple Music, or you can see the stuff I've written for Sound on Sound Mag. Everything's just right there at davidricard.com. It's sort of
or even LinkedIn.
My LinkedIn, you do everything from there. It's like my link tree.
Yeah, there you go. Well, there you go. Yeah, well, David, thank you for interviewing us for coming for this interview today. Well, interviewing us, not
letting us interview you today.
letting us interview you. I'm sorry, my tongue's twisted. There's your comedy, guys. Oh, thank you.
We didn't do that in the future. Some guest comes. No, you know what you do? You come back and interview us. Nobody's done it.
Okay, I'll get some good questions for you.
I mean, questions. Yeah, like I said, you know what? You're a guest, so you guys can always ask us questions too if we're particular about something. If you're really wanting to know why we're asking these questions, you can ask too. That's I've had that before with a guest.
Okay.
So.
Samuel, Wyatt, Purple, Jordan.
Yes.
This has been really fun. Thank you for thinking of me for this. I enjoyed it.
No problem.
Glad to have you.
Happy to have you.
You're worth it.
Yep.
I look forward to hearing this when it's done, and also, listening to more of your stuff, and maybe I'll be back when I have something new to share with you.
Come back and interview us.
Yeah.
Nobody's done it. Come on.
Yeah,
I'll interview you.
We'll bring Alex on too. Alex and Mark. We'll bring Alex co-host on.
I mean, you don't have to fully interview us. Just you're just allowed to ask questions sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes,
just some of the times you can ask questions.
I'm usually asking a lot of questions. I actually don't love to just talk about myself, and I feel like I didn't talk about myself as much as I talked about the situations and the process. I hope I didn't sound too
no
self-indulgent.
No, you sounded excellent. Loved your stories. Loved them. They're great.
Definitely.
They're great.
Okay. Well, this was really fun, and thanks again for finding me and thinking of me for this.
No problem.
Also, in that link on my YouTube channel, I have the original Maya and Miguel with the original lyrics.
Yes. So if you all want to listen to the theme song, it's on the YouTube. Just go on YouTube and it's there.
Yes, that's right. All right, are we done?
Yeah. Yes, we are done. Yes, we are done with you. So
thank you. Thank you for everything, and talk to you soon.
See you later.
I'll see you on LinkedIn.
Bye. Wow. How was that, guys? That was awesome.
Holy cow.
Totally great.
Yeah, that was awesome too.
Purple, next time come prepared. Next time do your research.
Yeah, I know.
I blame your friend for being there.
It's okay, guys. It's okay.
That's all good.
Okay.
All right. But anyway, that is a goodbye from us as well, guys, here at the Entertainment Treasure Talk podcast as well. You know, guys, one of the things I like is when we, you know, we ask people to come on, and you know, when they say yes,
Yes.
you know, it always makes things better. And also, guys, we actually, I'm not going to spill it out right now, but we do have somebody coming. We do know we do have something, but it's probably going to be in September, but I'm not going to say it right now.
And we have another guest after the 19th of this month. Did you forget?
Yes, we have a guest on the 19th, and we're probably going to be getting some more after this episode. Yeah, we have a guest.
After today.
I don't know, but it's Scott Gray, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, Scott Gray. I don't know, but yeah, we're expected to get Scott Gray next episode. So, yeah, guys. But that is a goodbye from us as well. That is a goodbye from me and everybody else at the Entertainment Treasure Talk. And don't forget to subscribe for more content. And
check out the partner podcast.
Yep, check out the other two podcasts as well. And check out, Nostalgia Channels and check out theirs. And we will see you guys in the next episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk podcast.
You're worth it. Bye, everybody.
And
Cheerio.
bye, everyone. See you later.
Yowie.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk. We hope that you had fun and that you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, maybe you'd like to watch or hear more episodes of the show. The link to the playlist is in the description. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more upcoming episodes. And don't forget that you're awesome and that you too are filled with entertainment treasure. See you next time for another great episode of the podcast. Peace out.